Hey Grady, do you remember your dreams? Only the wet ones.
Take a seat and rip open those trapper keepers. I am Christopher, here with the lovely Mr. Hootie.
What's going on, fellas? Excited to be here. Quick question. Is the Freddy Krueger sweater considered an ugly sweater during the Christmas season?
And the big brother, Mr. Nasty himself, Joseph.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año felicidad. Christmas month is upon us. You guys filled with Christmas gaiety or what?
I want a Charlie Polo after that rendition.
Yeah, man, maybe a little bit of fried ice cream would be nice.
That's my favorite Christmas song.
Interesting.
I'm a rocking around the Christmas tree type of guy.
What's the one where like the guy's like telling the girl you can't leave, but I'm gonna have sex with you?
Baby, it's cold outside.
That one.
I think he got canceled last year because everyone realized he's kind of raping a woman.
Well, I mean,
you can't
it could be
leave.
interpreted.
Just come inside. You can't leave.
It's an implication.
I think there's a line where the girl's like, "Hey, what is in this drink?"
It's actually on Bill Cosby's first record, the holiday special.
That one doesn't age well.
Today's assignment, 1985's A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. You got to have the subtitle in there. The lesson: avoid whitey-tighties, just in general. So yeah, this is the second in our series. We call it A Nightmare Before Christmas. Clever little play on words there, if I do say so myself.
It really gets you in the Christmas spirit, I believe.
It really does, man. He brings the sweater. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but it definitely has some Jack Skellington-ness to it, you know. Just the mashup of horror and the Christmas holiday.
Absolute no reason that he's wearing a Christmas sweater either. Just happenstance.
Round robin is going to be landing in my lap this week for what will be the final podcast of 2022. We're going to take a little bit of a holiday break here. See you back in January.
While we're taking a holiday break, Chris, where can they find us out on the interweb?
Well, even though the podcast may be taking a nap, the internet never does.
Check us out on bangbros/horriblefilmschool.com.
It's going to be hard to find that link.
Since it probably doesn't exist unless Joy did it, and that's all Joy's content. I'm going to say the name Joy one more time in attachment to that link. Yeah, check us out, horriblefilmschool.com. We still got the social media. All that'll be opened up if you want to converse there. Share some cool shit. We're always down for conversation. So, all right, boys, let's hop into this bad boy for the last time in this perfectly even-numbered year. I'm not going to be a fan of 2023 just for the sake it's an odd number.
It's the Michael Jordan year.
So expect me to be in a bad mood for the next 12 months.
Tough.
I'm going to crack this can open with some fan reviews here for this lovely film. Let's start with the bad one first because people are assholes. We got to get our holiday spirit on. Let's get this guy out the way. This comes by way IMDb, Mr. or Mrs. Rugger 430 from September of 1999. It's like both reviews I pulled actually were posted within like the first 2 months that IMDb went live. These people had just been holding this shit in for 15 years to write about it.
People were pumped.
Yeah, man, they're fucking excited, man. I gotta get on there and tell people what I think about Freddy's Revenge. This is called The Worst Film I Have Ever Seen. I knew something was up when we were waiting in the queue on its opening night, and I saw people coming out of the first show looking miserable. It's good, but it's not that good, I heard a woman say. That means it's the worst film I've ever seen in England. I tried to get my friends to agree to sell our tickets for a profit, and we could have after I heard that, but oh no, we saw the picture. I could have eaten a roll of Kodak and shit a better movie, we said afterwards. Illustrates everything wrong with Hollywood in one movie. 1 out of 10 stars.
Wait, they were trying to scalp their tickets?
Yeah, I guess back in 85, this guy was trying to scalp his Nightmare on Elm Street 2 tickets. I guess they used to be a thing.
I did watch the documentary, as I normally do, and when this movie came out, it sold out everywhere.
Oh, so this was one of those like Paranormal Activity situations. where everyone was in that Friday night.
Freddy
I
1
think
did
it's one
so
of those
well.
things that they struck like while the iron was hot. Because didn't this shit come out like a year after?
Oh yeah, that's pretty quick.
Like
turnaround.
immediately after. So it was like it was still fresh in everybody's minds. So it's just a weird thought that you can sell movie tickets and make money nowadays. Or
Yeah.
obviously not nowadays, but
Spinning that wheat into gold. We're gonna look at a positive review here. This one, by way of IMDb, from October of 1999. So right in that same little hot spot of people spouting their movie opinions on the internet. Somebody by the name of Martin8027 said, "Great job. I think this film is very good, but not as the first one, but very good. Freddy is darker than part 3 through 6, and it's cool. Story is quite good and original. Robert Englund has done a very good job, like in the 6 others. If Wes Craven would have worked on this movie, the movie would be almost perfect. I rate this film 3.5 out of 5 stars, but they gave it a 10 out of 10. I thought that was interesting. They write the rating in there and then totally subvert it with your little click of the star button there.
They're just learning IMDb 99.
I think they knew like years later that you would have filtered by 10 stars and just fucking would have pulled that one up. They just snuck it in there.
Clickbait, man. They fucking got me. Somebody back in 99 got me. Time traveling bastard.
Right before Y2K.
This person might have been thinking the world was ending when they wrote that. How interesting is that?
I was in church during Y2K.
You said during?
Yeah.
As the clock hit midnight.
Like as
Did
the
it
clock
happen at
hit,
midnight?
As the clock hit fucking midnight, I'm sitting in church and I've got like a bunch. Somebody had brought a bunch of canned goods.
It's got
like,
potted
just in
meat.
Case. I got this shit like hoarded in the corner,
It's
just
for
waiting
me.
for the damn world to end. I'm like, all right, I'm keeping all this shit. I'm gonna get this crucifix off the wall and just like fashion it into a shiv.
I was hoping The Walking Dead would just kick off right then and there.
We were all obviously very young during Y2K, but that is so bizarre that took hold of the world.
It's like pre-internet, man. Right before the internet blew up, so people were, I guess, more susceptible to. Well, I wouldn't say that. I'd say conspiracy theories are pretty fucking rampant now. Let me take
they're
that
definitely
statement
out
back.
there and about now.
Yeah, it was Y2K, and Joey was hauled up with canned goods and KY jelly. All right, let's step into some crew notes here. It's a bit bare bones. This is generally not something I do the heavy lifting it on, so let me just give you the bare minimum. If you guys got anything else, feel free to chime in. This film was directed by Mr. Jack Shoulder, who directed this and an episode of Tales from the Crypt. Noticeably here, Wes Craven did not return to direct this sequel to his beloved original story from 1984.
Apparently, he read the screenplay and he said, "I'm not touching this with a 10-foot fucking pole."
You will definitely we'll definitely see why later on. Jack also directed a TV series about Tremors. So I guess in the early 2000s there was a
Well,
Tremors
he
television
did one
series.
episode, so
Oh, he did one episode.
he was involved with one episode. He also directed Wishmaster 2.
Oh, this guy's a celebrity director,
I didn't
man.
really care for Wishmaster 1, so either way.
In the documentary of this film, he credited not Nightmare 2 as he's very thankful because it launched his directorial career.
A springboard, you might say.
Yeah,
Springwood.
into Tremors television series.
Apparently, he directed some like Friday the 13th knockoff 2 called Alone in the Dark. That was actually supposed to be decent.
Yeah, I think that was his debut, wasn't it? Or was that a follow-up
I
to
think
this?
that's what got him the job as director of this movie.
We might be covering it, fellas.
Oh, boy.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, that was also under what the fuck is the name of the company? New Line.
New Line Cinema.
New Line Cinema.
Yeah,
the house
I
that
think
Freddy
was
built.
under New Line Cinema.
So I have a note about Mr. Jack here that I found pretty intriguing. Jack Shoulder couldn't direct the pool house love scene without cracking up or laughing, so he gave it to an assistant to direct instead. That's how good of a director this man is.
That's kind of indicative of what do you think of the material you're directing, you know? But anyhow, moving on. I've got a writer here, Mr. David Chaskin, who I have written down that he wrote this, period. Nothing else really stood out in his filmography to me. And we also have a writing credit for Wes Craven for characters. Not that I'm sure he's not proud of that, but he still technically gets a writing credit here.
For all of them, baby. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just for like character, right? Just
Character,
because of
yeah.
Freddy. Yeah.
Because they refer to Nancy too during the story.
Did you guys like watch anything about David Chaskin at all? About why the movie turned out the way it did?
No, is there an urban legend I'm not aware
Well,
of?
apparently, he's like a closeted homosexual.
Oh, he's still in the
Is?
closet in 2023
He was closeted at the
or 22.
time.
Gotcha. Therapeutic, man. I like when people put themselves in scripts like that. Nice.
I mean, well, we've kind of skimmed over what this movie has become. It's considered.
Oh, we're gonna talk about it throughout the movie. It's
the
just
gayest.
it's one of those things. While we're talking about Chaskin, we can go ahead and throw that out there.
Yeah, I guess framing it that way, from what I understand, most of the people who worked on it at the time at least claimed that they were not aware of the homoerotic undertones, which is not really something that we'd seen in horror or most mainstream films at this point. So it's definitely, from what I understand, developed that reputation over time as being kind of a trailblazer on that front, even though it treated it with tons of subtlety. I got 2 notes here just around casting, sort of, before we dig into the screenplay. Or, I'm sorry, dig into the plot. Thought this was pretty interesting. Apparently, New Line Cinema did not ask Robert Englund to return as Freddy Krueger and refused to give him a pay raise. A stuntman was cast as Freddy at the start of production, and after 2 weeks, they realized it was a terrible lapse in judgment, fired the stuntman, hired Englund, and met his demands.
Could you imagine how much of a fuck up that would have been?
That's insane, man.
Not to bring back England.
Yeah, I don't understand. I guess they couldn't predict the future. I guess they didn't understand how important the character is to. The only reason I want to see a sequel is to see that character again.
The whole thing behind that is like Robert Englund realized, and his agent realized how important he was to the movie, because he is Freddy at the end of the day. So he demanded like a huge pay raise, and what's that dude's name? Robert Shea.
Robert Shea. I think that was the producer, right?
Yeah, he was like the president of New Line Cinema, and pretty much the future of the company like depended on this movie to succeed. So what they were trying to do is keep the cost as low as possible, and with Robert Englund demanding a huge pay raise, I mean they didn't want that shit to fly. And like you said, they didn't understand the importance of Robert Englund to the character of Freddy.
It's kind of interesting, too, thinking about back to Halloween 2 we covered a few months ago, how they had a stuntman play Michael in the sequel. This is like almost the exact same formula they're trying to do here, but the difference is, with this character in particular, you can't, I mean, he's a personable character. We see his face. It's the most important part of the performance, I think, is his face, in a way, Well,
that's the thing. All these characters are covered in masks. They're covered in makeup. They're covered in prosthetics. It's the same thing with Pinhead. You have a character that talks. You have a character that has a personality that's an actual personality, and not just, this person moves this way, or this person, the body language.
Right.
Like, you can tell the differences between Michael Myers is like
his gait.
the people that
the
play
way
him.
he
You
carries
can
himself.
tell. Just the same way as you can tell when Pinhead, Doug Bradley was recast. I mean, it is what it is.
I was going to chime in that Freddy was the only one that required an actual actor, but to your point, Hellraiser, and then I would even throw in Warwick Davis as Leprechaun. It does not work without Warwick Davis.
You talking about what the fuck is that dude's name? Schmeagol or some shit from WWF?
Hornswoggle.
Shamrock?
Hornswoggle.
Horsenoggle.
Hornswoggle.
Oh, Hornswoggle.
Horse
That's
Gobbler.
just as goofy of a fucking name as the rest of them.
And
his
that's on the cover. I don't think it's his real name. That's his
Swoggle?
I think it's a
that's
stage
his wrestling name. Hornswoggle.
Yeah.
But both of his films are god awful. So
We'll get there
I think it's
eventually. Let's not dunk on the man before we get there.
They actually did use some of the takes that the stuntman, Freddy.
Were they
in the
stunts?
movie. Yeah. Oh, no, it was just him walking.
Oh,
like
really?
the shower scene where he's like strangely and slowly creeping towards
Coming out of
yeah.
the mist?
yeah.
I
That right
thought
there's
he
the stuntman.
looked weird there.
That's not.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. I got to watch that again. I didn't catch that.
Yeah,
I
that's
thought
the
that he looked
stuntman.
different.
Yeah. That, and I think during the pool scene when he's walking away and he turns into a fireball.
He did have he looked kind of bigger, I thought, in that moment, in a way.
Yeah. I think both of those scenes.
And this last note I wrote down as the most Ryan Hootie shit I have ever heard in my entire life.
I think we have the same note.
Apparently. We're talking about Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger, man Ryan Hootie worships. Michael J. Fox was considered for the role of Jesse Walsh, but was unable to due to his commitments to Back to the Future and Teen Wolf.
Could you fellas imagine Michael J. Fox caught up in the gayest horror film of all time?
That would be insane. He would have been fantastic, though. But again, look at the two things he was working on at the time. I think Michael probably made the right decision.
There was 3 other actors who actually had auditioned for the role of Jesse. Christian Slater, John Stamos, and Brad Pitt, all 3 auditioned.
Damn. None of them hold a candle to Michael J. Fox.
Well,
that's
the thing. Actually,
he's no Michael J. Fox. Fuck you.
The guy who ended up getting Mark Patton, he's not bad in this role.
And that is it for his roles.
Yeah, he looked super familiar.
It's actually a really sad reason that he stopped acting.
He looked really familiar, and I was like, I'm not going to look it up until after I'm done with the movie. But I don't know what I recognized him from.
I don't know what you recognized him from.
Maybe he looks like someone else.
Music video or some shit.
Possibly. Maybe he looks like someone else that I confused him with. But he had a personable look to him, I think. I don't think he was terrible.
He was all right. He was no Michael J. Fox, but he was all right.
Michael J. Fox would have been fucking terrible in this movie.
Oh, he would have been so good. It would have been cool.
Get off of that. Imagine him having to scream.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard Michael J. Fox actually scream.
I think he has like a fucking terrible scream. This guy does too. Like Mark Patton, I'm going to go off on this later on. His fucking scream's terrible too. But a big part of this movie is hearing a dude scream. Michael J. Fox wouldn't be it.
With the Nightmare franchise, Freddy's makeup changes and changes and changes and changes to the point where he gets very comically fake looking. But this was the first step in Freddy's face changing for Nightmare 2. Makeup effects artist Kevin Yeager replaced David Miller in this film, who was a part of the first one. And he studied pictures of burn victims, and he began to make changes to Freddy's look, namely by bringing out the facial bones. He said his intent was to make Freddy look like a male witch, and gave Freddy red and amber eyes to make him more demonic looking instead of England's green eyes.
We think that works, or is this something we're saying is a negative?
Oh, I think it works very well.
I think he looks really fucking creepy in this movie.
Yeah, he looks as scary as I ever recall him is in this movie.
I enjoyed his male witch idea for sure.
He wasn't like a carbon copy of what we were used to. So, and the fact that he's a dream, I don't know the word we're even looking for here.
Dream Weaver.
Dream killer.
Warriors.
Kind of makes sense that his look would change, based on who is dreaming, whose dreams he's invading,
13 minutes. That's how much screen time Freddy has in this entire movie.
Well, in defense of that, this is a super short movie. This is like 80 minutes. If you take the credits out, it's
13
quick.
minutes and 13 lines.
And what's maddening is how much of that 13 minutes he's out in the open.
No, Freddy, like we're not used to seeing, at least to this point. If we're going, the thing about this is I'm trying to, at least my exercise in this was trying to watch it without the knowledge of what Freddy would become, just based on how the first movie went down, basically.
Yeah, and Wes Craven did a phenomenal job of smoke and mirrors and keeping him in the shadows. And this director said, fuck that, I want him in front of all the lights.
All right, without further ado, let's take a little nap here. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
You've got the body. I've got the brain.
5 years have passed since Freddy Krueger was seemingly defeated, and the Walshes have moved into the Thompsonses. It's a funny word to say.
Thompson.
Former home. The teenage son, Jesse, played by Mark Patton, has a nightmare about being stranded on a school bus with 2 girls being driven by everyone's favorite dream killer, Mr. Fred Krueger, played again by Robert Englund. He wakes in terror and attributes the dream to the heat in the room. The next day, he goes to school with his friend Lisa, played by Kim Myers, who Jesse is crushing on. I got a question mark after the crushing on bit there.
So there was a note that I saw that was like a trivia question. Robert Englund was driving the bus in the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
Did people not know that was Robert Englund back in the day?
I guess, I mean, at this point, you'd seen Nightmare, and you'd seen Nightmare 2. You probably didn't hop on the internet and watch interviews that Robert Englund did between the two, so you'd probably never seen his face.
This is before YouTube. I guess that would make sense.
It was very much a cameo, too. It's not like he's on screen for a long amount of time.
Man, it's a pretty quick, like, whip, and then he, like, puts his shoulder up when he's, like, closing the bus doors.
It's definitely just a wink, and a nod.
He looked pretty cool.
And
to the audience.
It's not high definition in the 80s either, so it's probably not as clear.
And you watched it in a theater, you probably only got the one glance. Eating popcorn,
eating
you didn't notice it.
popcorn,
You're not
your
going to
girlfriend's trying to do
rewind it
things
or
to you.
pause it. Trying to get your wiener pulled out at some point, you know.
Mark Patton, you didn't do over any credits this man has had, Chris.
You knock him out,
hold
buddy.
on. Amityville Clown House, baby.
Amityville Clown House had the same credit.
You ever
Sorry,
gonna
this
you ever
podcast
gonna
is
come
officially
stepping
over.
at me? You better talk about Amityville Clown House. Well, there's a reason he actually stopped acting. I think he acted up until like 1989, or was credited to 89, and didn't start acting again until 2016. This movie like really put him in a bad spot because he also, like the writer, was a closeted homosexual, and because of the movie's undertones that we're going to talk about a little bit later, it pushed him into
Not
the
so
limelight.
subtle.
Not so subtle. It pushed him into the limelight and kind of forced him out of the closet before he was ready to be. And back in those days, there was a stigma about, casting people that were gay. And it kind of fucked his career up. So, yeah, there's a bit of a reason why he isn't in anything. Because I think he actually does a great job in this movie. But, yeah, classic Nightmare opening. I love the hell bus, the practical effects. The whole being stranded like over a big pit on top of I guess a column of rocks. I guess that was like probably a miniature, right?
Yeah, definitely.
For
was.
sure, miniature.
It definitely reminds me of like the iconography we'll see throughout the franchise of like a painting almost, like how these dream sequences cut to these like weird jagged cliffs and stuff like that to scare people, like you would see in your own dreams, I guess.
Freddy being super menacing with his glove, like stalking towards the students in the back of the bus. It's off to a good start.
And this is where we see one of what we will come to know as many, many scenes with Jesse waking up shirtless
Sweaty
and covered
as fuck.
Covered in sweat.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget how he fucking screams awake, too.
Yeah, that
Holy
scream.
shit.
That scream
This
alarmed
guy
me at
has a
first.
fucking terrible scream.
Yeah.
Can't stand his scream.
It's unique. I'll say for a male protagonist to put in a position like this, it's an interesting choice, but I think it kind of highlights, like we were saying, some of the undertones of what Jesse is dealing with, maybe, kind of like a femininity to him in a way.
Mark said in the documentary for this film that in this role he was in essence the classic girlfriend and Lisa was the classic boyfriend. Like they swap roles.
Right, yeah, I could see that. Interesting.
So,
Did we talk about Lisa at all?
I just mentioned her name. I do have a little note about her casting. It says Kim Myers was allegedly cast in the film due to her resemblance to Meryl Streep, which I can kind of see.
Said in the last episode, she looks exactly like fucking Meryl Streep.
Yeah, she really does. Yeah. Joy said that he remembered it because she had a quote-unquote weird-looking face.
I was watching this and was so convinced that this was the same lady from Californication, his wife in the show. And it's not. But if you look her up, they look exactly alike.
I'll have to go back to 2005 and watch that fucking show, I guess.
Gotcha.
Well, we're
Hank
shitting
Moody's
all over
wife.
Kim Myers here, not giving her own come up.
Hey, wait, ain't that the guy who shoved a mouse up his ass?
That's Richard Gere. Talking about David
That's Richard
Duchovny
Gere.
did
Okay.
nothing of the sort.
They
He
kinda
did go
look the same.
to sex rehab though.
X-Files
That was too
guy.
much sex. So
Yeah, man, nothing like it.
But yeah, Kim Myers was also in Hellraiser Bloodline.
Awesome. And we did throw Robert Englund in here. Probably no need to Slob his knob, as Hootie usually does when we talk about him, but
I think
legendary.
I did it in the first one.
Legendary horror icon.
He did, to throw in one note here, he did reprise the role of Freddy Krueger recently on The Goldbergs. The television
is
show.
The
Wait.
Goldbergs?
He played the actual Freddy Krueger dream killer.
Yeah, you can look it up. Yeah,
He
It's
kills
like a dream
somebody.
sequence in Goldberg. No, it's a sitcom. It's Home
Exactly.
Improvement for 2022. But the dad, I think, Jesse's already met his dad, and that man's name is Clu Gulliger. Let's say that, and we've already met this man. Where did we meet this man at?
He was in Feast, man.
He was in
Fucking
Feast.
bartender. He was the bartender in Feast.
Yes, he was.
He was a cool fucking bartender. He had the
Yeah, he
earring.
was great.
Yeah.
In the documentary, he said, "I cannot confirm that this was a gay horror film because, quote, I never received a blowjob."
My man.
Yeah.
even,
That's my
even not
barometer
even,
for everything.
even not even being a bartender, he says bartender type shit.
Every time I go to a new restaurant, like, is this a gay club? Or, I mean, I didn't get a blowjob, so it must be straight as hell in here.
Okay, cool.
Apparently,
All right.
Quentin Tarantino kind of liked this guy too, because he was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as well, and he played the lead role in Return of the Living Dead.
That's a very good horror film.
After getting into a fight with a boy named Grady, played by Robert Russler, during gym class, Coach Snyder punishes the boys by making them stay after class, and they soon become buddies. Lisa comes to visit Jesse after school, and they discover a diary from one Nancy Thompson, detailing nightmares she had that were strikingly similar to Jesse's.
Are you not going to talk about who the fuck plays Coach Snyder?
I got nothing on Coach Snyder. He's an
I don't
asshole.
either.
That's Marshall Bell,
Oh, okay.
General Owen from Starship Troopers. Man, he was in charge of Whiskey Outpost on Planet P in the Clendapple
Whiskey
system.
Outpost.
Whiskey Outpost. You got to
You
get this Call of Duty
motherfuckers.
out of here, man.
He was, yeah, he was in Starship Troopers. That's one of my favorite movies. Also, it was George, as well as the voice of his conjoined twin, Quado, from Total Recall.
That's a blind spot for me still.
Also in Deadwood. The guy's got a lot of credits. He might have the most credits of anybody in this movie.
Not gonna lie, Chris, you skipped over a bit of stuff here. So he's already unpacked his room, where we are right now.
You
Yeah,
talking
at
about this
point.
weird dance
Yeah,
sequence?
Talking about the dead
We got
scene.
a lot of shit to go over right here. So,
That's what I'm
wanna
saying.
go ahead-
I'm leaving it
you wanna
open. I'm
go-
just giving you,
you
this
wanna
is basically
go-
what happened. If you want to go
You want to
details,
go?
help
You
yourself.
want to go? You want to go chronologically and get to that point? Because I got something I want to talk about that happened before then.
Let's do it, Joe. Let's take over the
That
show.
we'll let you.
I'm
I'll
out.
let you harp on the dancing. But first of
weird.
all, this motherfucker hates cereal. As soon as his damn little sister tries to pull him a bowl of cereal right before school, he says no, and he jerks the fucking bowl away from the cereal bowl, or the bowl away from the cereal.
Or he's lactose intolerant. Who knows?
In PE class, when he's being assaulted by Grady, who, as you said, Robert Russler, Weird Science, Amityville, another Amityville, A New Generation,
He's
good
probably the best actor in
friends
the film.
with Robert Downey Jr. Apparently, Robert Downey Jr. drove him to his audition for this movie.
Damn,
How
it's,
cool is
he
that?
knows Tony Stark. That's impressive.
But yeah, they're playing fucking baseball in this field. That they're also having an archery class and playing soccer on. What kind of
Yeah,
fucking PE class?
Just the 80s were not fucking safe for high schoolers, man. And what's up with him wrestling him with his ass hanging out? That kid, that was the first moment I felt a little
The
bit
first
of that.
thing, the
Like he
first thing
tackles
does
him
when
to
he
the ground
starts
and
wrestling,
pulls his pants down with his ass hanging out.
he grabs him by the fucking asshole, and pulls him down to the ground, dude.
That's how we always played, Chris, back in the day.
Because at this point, I was like, oh, everybody said this movie was so gay. I was like, I'm not feeling it. Oh, okay.
Oh,
I got
an
it.
asshole.
I got you.
I've got a note right here. It says, because Jesse gets hit in the head with the baseball at one point in time because he's over there like looking at Lisa. I got a note that says, gotta keep your eye on the ball, Jesse. I'm not talking about Grady's balls. I know.
And also, when they were forced to do these like push-ups, I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? They're like humping the ground really awkwardly. if you
No,
notice.
these weren't push-ups.
What are they doing?
That was planking, baby.
But they're like thrusting into the ground beside each other. Another
They
one.
were
because they're
exhausted.
giving
were
up.
exhausted.
They're giving out.
Yeah, they were tired.
But they just kept like pumping into the ground beside each other. I was like,
See,
this
that's your
seems like
problem. You don't know about that plank life.
another weird boy humping situation that I'm just not
He just doesn't
not
know
expecting.
I think he's putting something there that isn't there. His mind is somewhere else.
Oh, I'm adding the homoeroticism. It's me.
Yeah,
That's a step too far, Chris.
You're compiling on top of what's already there. So yeah, that brings us to the infamous bedroom scene.
Well, there
Would
is
you like to
the dream sequence where he meets Freddy.
Oh shit! Yeah, I forgot about
downstairs, where you see the eyes in the shadows, and Freddy says that Jesse has the body and he has the brain, which I thought was my first like, oh, this is a gay film. Okay.
He actually does he says that line and he tears off his scalp, exposing his brain, which is like really cool practical effects. I appreciated that. But
like
apparently
pumping.
in this scene right here,
like the pulsing.
Robert Englund actually asked Mark Patton if he could stick his claw in his mouth. And Mark said, yeah, that's going a little bit too far.
I don't know about that one, Daddy. I mean, Freddy.
Because apparently Robert Englund knew that this script was like, had the gayness of the script. And was like going to play into it. Because he's like brushing against his face and shit, like very delicately.
He does brush the face in this scene.
Yeah.
So we think Freddy is symbolism for his actual sexuality? Is that what the...
Oh, 100%.
That's what the message is? He's trying to get out. Let me out. Show the world who I am.
It is, but it actually displays it in a way that's kind of fucked up. Because, you know, Freddy is inherently evil. And if that's the case, then it's kind of saying homosexuality is evil in itself.
But again, this, as you said, was written by a gay man who may have been wrestling with his own sexuality at this point. So it may not necessarily be coming from a place of negativity.
I don't think he meant it that way at all. But
Right.
the guy's obviously not that good of a writer.
What are you talking about? What do you mean? Did you see the dance sequence?
Did
It's
I?
fantastic.
And we have arrived, fellas, at the illustrious dancing.
I can imagine Ryan Hootie doing this shit, getting ready for bed every night.
You know it. Had him a
Touch
Walkman
me,
in,
bed
listening to
me
Huey Lewis
all
in the
night
news.
long.
That would have been fantastic.
If
I can
this is
imagine
it-
Michael J. Fox doing this.
So yeah, the dance scene montage of Jesse unpacking his room. He is humping his dresser. He's taking some kind of a paper shaft thing and stroking it in the air. And
That is a wooden pop gun.
a wooden pop gun. He's stroking that bad boy against his own penis. And then his supposed girlfriend walks in, Lisa, to him, just stroking his little wooden stick there.
I loved it, man. It was fun. I had fun with this.
The song this is actually done to is called "Touch Me All Night Long" by Wish.
Ooh.
So yeah, once this begins, it's pretty much like a "Let the Gayness Begin." Apparently, it was also inspired by "Risky Business," which came
Let
out.
the
a few years
gayness
earlier.
begin. We gotta put that on one of our T-shirts, man. Let the gayness begin.
begin.
Because
He's
we're
got
all
his
for
Elton
it.
John shades on, pretending to jack off with this wooden pop gun. Yeah, it's quite the sight in a Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
You know, like I wonder how much of this was in the script and how much of this was just Mark just having fun on
Oh no,
set.
it was
All right,
toward
Mark,
the
let
end.
it
He's
rip.
kind of gone back and forth. This was going to happen regardless, but at one point in time, he was saying it was totally scripted, like everything that's done, especially like taking his ass and like shutting the fucking drawer with it. That
No
shit
way
wild.
that was scripted.
Apparently it was, but
I do that all the time, man.
He's
Just start
also
slapping my
being
ass against
quoted as
stuff.
saying this whole thing he came up with himself and just told them, "Hey, roll on it." He didn't want to do it. But apparently he kept pushing it back and back and back, and then it got to the point where it had to be done. So yeah, he I think regardless, he did not want to tackle this scene, and I don't blame him. I mean, you have a young career, you're trying to make a name for yourself, and you have this as a credit. So it's you're not Tom Cruise. You know what I mean?
It'd be
This
cool
is a
though
risky
if
business.
you came to someone's house and after every door they open, they shut the doorknob with their asshole. That would
Their
be.
ass.
Tell me you wouldn't
Ass.
remember that person
Oh.
for the rest of your life.
You know what that scene reminded me of from the Chappelle Show when the gay lawnmower guy's humping the push mower with his ass and mowing the yard. That's what it reminded me of.
It was definitely
got-
cheese,
actually-
80s cheese, man. I loved it.
When when I went back and I watched this movie 3 times, right?
Jesus.
Damn.
When I went back and rewatched the movie this last time, I went ahead and I made a list that was everything gay in Nightmare 2.
Everything.
this is
This
where-
sounds like another T-shirt we should make.
This is where the dam breaks on the gayness. All right, at this point, you have a ball shot in his tighty whities early in the movie where his nuts like falling out of his fucking tighty
I
whities.
didn't see the nuts.
He's
I think I
got
did.
Grady's wearing some John Stockton ass shorts during the baseball game where his nuts are also falling out of his shorts. Grady exposing Jesse's ass. The dance sequence we just talked about. There's a sign on his door that says "No chicks," no chicks.
What?
Which would be okay if you're a fucking
That almost made
preteen
my
and 10
movie
years
believe.
old, like you got a fork going on. Yeah, I get it, but he's like
No
18 in this
girls.
movie. There's a closet, a game in. It's kind of fucking metaphor, I guess. There's a game in his closet called Probe. And there's also here's a deep dive. I don't know if anybody else ever saw this one. There's a book on his nightstand
Jesus.
by Jack Kerouac, I guess his name, called On the
Kerouac,
Road.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy who wrote that is like, I guess, the godfather of the beat movement. And
Yeah,
he's
the beat
also
poetry
considered
and
a
stuff.
homophobic homoerotic.
Ooh.
So
Guess
there's
who's
a
all about it.
lot of shit going on in this sequence.
It's a lot of depth for what's essentially a cash grab B movie, 80s horror movie. You know.
You know what it is?
That's
This
depth.
dude, this writer, man, this David Chaskin, he saw his one chance that he was ever going to get. He
Shoot
said,
your
I'm taking
shot.
this shit.
After some crazy shit around the house, including the pet bird combusting into flame, Jesse's father accuses him of just fucking things up. Lisa takes Jesse to an abandoned factory where Freddy worked, but they find nothing there. What the hell is with that bird?
His father's convinced that his son, his drug-addled son, his gay drug-addled son, which is what his mom and dad think of him, think he's gay and on drugs, shoved a cherry bomb up a bird's
Up
ass.
a bird's ass and controlled
his
it while it's flying
hypothesis.
around the air.
What's happening right here is what I consider the best scene in the movie. The fucking demented parakeet attacking the family.
It's fucking weird.
What was this supposed to convey? Like, what point?
I don't know.
Well, before this, everybody's sitting in their living room. The whole family is sweating their ass off.
fucking
The
hot in
father
here.
walks over and looks at the thermostat, and it says it's 97 degrees in the house.
They just now noticed how hot it was.
Is
Not 20
Spring-
degrees
is it
ago.
Springwood, Springfield, wherever the fucking name
Springwood,
of this place is.
yeah.
Is it on the fucking equator? Like, why is it so goddamn
I
hot?
think
in
it's
this
like
house?
Illinois or some shit.
Oh. And then I guess that makes the bird just fucking lose its shit when he hears 97 degrees.
Oh, the bird murders his
They were
like
terrified
cage
of that
mate.
fucking
There's
bird.
There was 2 birds at the start of the scene. One of these birds is fucking murdered.
That's a cool
That
scene.
is
man.
true.
I don't know what the fuck it means, but it was a cool scene. Was this supposed to be is Freddy influencing this somehow?
So apparently, this was in the documentary, they had built a prosthetic bird with Freddy's head on it. And it looked so shitty that they didn't use it, and they just used a real bird instead, which made no sense to the
I
to
want
the
to see
film.
that fucking bird.
It's a documentary. A little bit of it looks pretty bad.
Before we go any further, also, like, during the reading of the, like, I wasn't interested in this movie at all. Like,
Yeah.
when I first started watching, I thought it was, man, this is fucking awful. They started reading the journal, and I'm like, all right, this is starting to get interesting, because the journal was like, it's kind of interesting.
Nancy's first person account of the
yeah,
events, yeah.
Yeah, that got me interested in the movie. As soon as Lisa is sitting there reading it, and she's talking about Johnny Depp's fucking naked body, Jesse says, "Let me get my hands on that." Starts fucking reading it.
Let me see that. Is there a picture in there?
Okay,
Fucking Jack Sparrow
Let
drawing
me have a
in
look
there.
at this. They just said his deep, smooth, his fucking smooth naked body. He said, "Oh, let me have a look."
And then he takes over and begins reading about how Johnny Depp dies and all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah, he reads all the
There's-
horrible shit.
Yeah.
I did like when they went to the factory because it felt like they were, like I feel like it was so, the first one was so contained kind of to like that neighborhood that they kind of went to like on location somewhere else. I thought that was kind of cool. For giving us like some kind of account of a world outside of these fucking 5 houses in the high school, you know.
They talked about how that place was awesome as a set piece,
It looked
but was so massive that it was a terrible decision because of the lighting. They couldn't light the damn thing.
Gotcha. I could see it kind of reminded me of a Hostel too. That just decrepit, busted ass old factory.
But to back to the bird exploding and the father accusing Jesse of something. That the line the father gives was my favorite line of the movie. He looks at Jesse. It says, "It was your fault using a goddamn cherry bomb."
His dad's a fucking prick.
I do enjoy how they portray the parents in these movies, or this movie, as opposed to like the rest of them. The rest of them seem to be like, all the parents are dismissive of the kids. They're like abusive. They're alcoholics, drug addicts,
antagonistic.
like that. Yeah, these seem like actual parents. So I like their dynamic compared to like the other ones. But yeah, this the dad is definitely looking to lay the blame on the son in this scene.
It's got to be some gay shit you did. No other reason this fucking bird would explode in my house.
What'd you do? Stick your finger in his ass?
The following night, Jesse has a nightmare encounter with Freddy, who tells him to kill for him. As his dreams grow more intense, Jesse begins forcing himself to stay awake. But that does not stop him from approaching his sleeping sister, the clawed glove on his own hand. Jesse finds himself wandering the streets at night. Coming across a gay leather bar, Jesse is caught by Snyder while ordering a drink and is made to run laps for some fucking reason as detention at school. After sending Jesse to the showers, Snyder is attacked by sporting equipment that comes to life in his office. He is bound by a jump rope, dragged to the showers, and stripped. Jesse vanishes into the steam and Freddy emerges, killing Snyder by slashing his back. Jesse's horror, he again sees the glove on his own hand. The police escort his naked ass home, and his parents suspect that Jesse is on drugs. Is this a gay scene at all?
There's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah, the gay bar scene is a bit obvious, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's on the nose.
I'm getting the feeling that Joey enjoyed this film. I am swaying the other direction because it's breaking a lot of rules in the fact of, is this Jesse being asleep or is it Coach being asleep because the coach dies?
You're using rules for the franchise, though, man. That's the thing. We can't be having the rules of the franchise in this movie.
But why can't you have? No, those were set up in the first film. Those were Wes Craven's rules.
Well, you're putting the movie in a box. You're saying it has to play by Wes Craven's rules.
Exactly.
Well, he is the king of horror for Nightmare on Elm Street.
The director as well as the writer did not like the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie, so they deviated from the rules that were put into place.
Clearly.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in the review.
Hold on, let me just give a little retort here, which makes kind of sense to me. Maybe it's bullshit. But again, with the experimentation that I've only seen 2 movies to this point is what I'm thinking is so much of the first movie, like you said, takes place within the dreams. Like even with the ending, we assume Nancy is still dreaming. And if so much of it is taking place in a dream, then how do I know the rules are even real, you know? How does that apply to the real world? We never really see that in the first one, I guess is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, because Freddy kills everybody in the first one in their own dream.
Exactly. So how do we know he's not capable of coming out of it? Because everyone's sleeping the whole fucking movie.
Because Wes Craven didn't want
that whole thing's what you're saying. Like in this sense, could
it's
make
Inception,
sense
man.
In this
it's the dream in the dream.
It's not going to make sense later on.
It can't make sense.
I would argue this whole sequence is actually a dream sequence in itself. Because when he's going downstairs before he heads out to the S&M bar, he's standing in front of the dishes, looking out the window, and there's a lightning strike that hits the fucking dishes.
So weird.
I think this is to show the audience that he is currently in a dream sequence. Is what I'm thinking.
Jesse's dream sequence.
Yeah, where Jesse's in a dream sequence. Now, how this leads up to fucking Schneider getting the chop, I don't know.
All leather daddied up.
Yeah, they were saying, I think, that there's a note earlier where they talk about, the only reason he's an asshole to kids is because he's a closeted gay who goes to S&M bars at night. And what are the odds that Jesse just stumbles into a gay bar? It seems like he's projecting that information that he got from Grady into this dream that he's having now.
Jesse, hit the showers.
And then he's making him run laps and take a shower at night. Like, that's not plausible, even if this guy is a total fucking asshole. He's not going to tell some 17-year-old boy, all right, I caught you at a bar. Come with me to the fucking school and run laps in the dark.
But Coach really died in the shower, though.
Jesse kidnapped his ass. I don't know.
Let's not try to make sense out of it in terms of Nightmare on Elm Street rules, because this movie isn't going to follow that shit at all. Let's talk about the scene as it is. So the guy can't sleep. His first idea: let's head to the fucking gay ball.
That's not gay at all, Joey.
The bartender who serves him the beer is actually played by Bob Shea, who, as we talked about earlier, is the president of New Line. He wanted to actually play the role of Jesse's dad, but the director told him, "Fuck no, man. We need an actual actor.
We need someone who can actually seem like an asshole to his kid."
Yeah. So Leather Daddy, as he called him a little bit earlier, he gets that sweet ass whipped with a fucking towel.
Is he towel whipping this guy to death? Was my first question.
Yeah. But this whole Coach Snyder kill scene, man, it just doesn't feel very Nightmare on Elm Street at all. I mean, I get it's supposed to be Jesse doing the killing, but still, I mean, it doesn't gel for me. And we also have to put up with more of Jesse's whack ass screaming.
Yeah, this one was really fucking bad. I noted this one in particular. I was like, this fucking dude's scream is literally like the clapboard between scenes. It's just like,
yeah, I can't stand
Jesus,
shit.
It's loud as fuck.
That was literally the same whipping sound effect that you heard in 80s music. That's the exact same
What's
noise.
that song? Whip it good.
So 2 more notes for the Everything Gay in Nightmare 2. Got Don's Place, which is the name of the actual S&M bar, and literal balls are being shot at Coach Snyder's face.
It's all the balls:
scene.
tennis, baseball, volleyball, basketball.
Not to mention the bare ass toweling and the bondage kill scene. Because it was a bondage kill scene. He was literally strung up with fucking jump ropes.
Well, I can't tell if you guys are shitting on this or what, but I mean, sexuality is so closely related to dreams that I feel like that's something that Wes didn't really lean into in the first one. And people dream about sex, man. The following night, Jesse goes to a pool party hosted by Lisa and preps to stick it in her in the cabana. But his body begins to change. In a panic, Jesse leaves. Lisa's friend Carrie insists she go after him, but she decides to stay behind.
Before he goes to the pool party, he has yet another dream sequence where he wakes up and we get an actual frame of Jesse's ball sack in his whitey tighties, just perfectly in frame as he finds Freddy's glove in his dresser drawer.
Nice.
I was uncomfortable watching that scene.
Y'all were pausing it on these ball sacks, man. I didn't notice this.
There was fucking cinematography, bro.
There was no need to pause. I mean,
shots.
It just held there. And I was like, man, this is okay. We get it. I understand.
Okay, yeah, he's got balls. I see it.
I get it. Yeah, cool.
It's one thing that was missing from Breaking Bad. We should have seen more of Walter's balls hanging out.
And then there's some random white girl in his in the room next door jumping rope. So
there it is.
So this pool party you're talking about, one of our lead characters, Grady, isn't there.
He's fucking grounded, man.
He's grounded. He did something pretty fucking gnarly. He threw his grandma down a flight of stairs.
Yeah, I love this character, man.
Dude. I love this guy.
When he's like at the lunch table, he has like 4 things of milk cartons open up. That shit made me like nauseous. He's drinking from different milk cartons.
Fuck that, dude. I love milk.
And he had his mouth full of food.
Fridge. I'm gonna drink some of that shit tonight.
He's like, I pushed my grandma down the stairs.
that's like a classic like bulk thing, is to drink a shit ton of milk for some reason.
Yeah, it's super weird.
Protein.
I get it, but it's such a weird way to intake your protein.
Back then, they didn't have like bone marrow fucking protein powders, did they?
They didn't have that rock protein
fucking
powder
shit they're
injections.
drinking nowadays.
You're gonna get like tuna or something different than just milk. I don't know.
He's in high school. Who the fuck's got tuna in high school? He's gonna walk around with a bunch of caviar and shit.
So you guys usually are more to the effects than I am. How did you feel about the transformation of Jesse mid-coitus? Had that big-ass blue tongue slide out of his mouth. He's about to eat some poontang with it.
Do we talk about him instead of Deep Dick and Lisa? He would rather go spend the night with Ronnie.
Grady?
Yeah, there's some Grady.
No, his name's Ron.
Well, his name's Ron Grady, yeah.
His last name's Grady.
We haven't got to that point yet. It's next.
Can we talk about,
You
and
said
maybe
the
this...
transformation thing. Oh, you're talking about the tongue.
When he's trying to eat her out, yeah, he gets the whole...
Maybe no. He did not get that far down.
He was
down
going
the
to.
body.
He thought
He
about it.
was working the middle of those breasts for
You
about
see the
a
way he
solid
was
2
fucking
minutes.
grabbing them titties?
He was playing with some titties.
He ain't never had his hand on titties in his entire life.
It was very awkward. He didn't pop him out. He was just working the middle ground. He's working that middle ground
Now
as
you
much
gotta
as he
smack
could.
him things.
No man's land, baby.
And then the very silly looking prosthetic tongue pops
It
out.
was a
I
bit-
thought it looked pretty bad.
His fucking eyes got really wide and shit. It's fucking great. Oh.
I mean, what would you do if you looked down and you saw that hanging out of your mouth on some
I
beautiful
say,
lady's
why is that
chest?
thing in the middle of my fucking chest and not down in my pussy hole?
I'm going to put it... Well, you're the woman in the situation. Never mind.
Yeah, I'm the woman in the situation.
I was saying if you were the man.
I'm
but
saying,
okay.
damn, you could eat my
Damn,
ass
Daddy.
and my pussy at the
Damn,
same
Daddy,
time. What
put
are
that
you
in
doing
my
with
ass
that big
crack.
ass tongue?
You could pack my ass crack with that
You
whole
over here
thing.
licking a mole on my fucking chest. Well, I got a bunch of damn mustard stains down here. You better stick that thing in
Working
my
that damn
ass.
chest.
I think he had syphilis or some shit on that tongue too.
Yeah, it
was a
looked
bunch of
like an
bumps.
STD living on that bad boy. Jesse goes into Grady's house and confesses to killing Snyder. He tells Grady to watch him as he falls asleep and stop him if he tries to leave. Grady eventually falls asleep himself, and Jesse suddenly undergoes a very painful transformation. Our guy, Freddy, emerges, brutally stabs Grady into his bedroom door. Yet again, Jesse is left holding the glove and escapes before Grady's parents can get inside.
So yeah, got a cool little quote right here of what happens right before this, when he's explaining why he's there and not back at the cabana, sticking that tongue up in that girl. Something is trying to get inside my body. Yeah, and she's female and she's waiting for you in the cabana, and you want to sleep with me. Grady's putting his ass on blast.
Grady knows what's up.
So yeah, second best scene in the movie in my opinion, behind the bird scene. The transformation scene in
Was
Grady's
fucking
room.
great.
Practical effects, especially for the mid 80s. I do hate, as I said in the last fucking episode, I do hate the whole knives coming out of his hand bullshit. But the transformation itself is dope as fuck. Not on par with the wall scene from the original, but still good in its own right. And the Jesse scene is actually blood curdling in this, or the Jesse scream is actually blood curdling in this scene. Although I'm sure they somehow tampered with it retroactively in post.
Yeah, I wrote it down as the Freddy birth scene. I thought it was pretty fucking cool. Usually I'm not receptive to these things, but this
The way his
this
arm
felt
is like
awesome.
fucking like cracking and just like falling off the meat, like his skin. Ugh, it's so good.
The effects team said that pretty much it was shot frame for frame with their prosthetics, and it took about 11 weeks to get all of those prosthetics ready for this one scene.
It was really good.
That's nuts.
Definitely worth it. That was actually a woman's eye inside of his mouth as well.
Why did they use a woman's eye?
Because they had built a little like structure for somebody's head to go up into, and to go into the back of like the throat, or look like the back of the throat. And apparently the only person's head who would fit was the special effects guy's girlfriend.
The actor who plays Grady, what is his name? Robert, said that he was always disappointed in the fact that Grady dies in such a non-bloody way. Like he gets like
off
slashes
camera.
across the
I fucking
chest,
hate that shit.
off camera.
The kills in this movie fucking suck. Let's go ahead and say that.
Yeah,
Fucking terrible.
that's a very good point.
Any kill off camera, I cannot stand that shit.
Because the coach got an ass whipping, and then he just kind of scraped and he died.
We'll
Literal
see.
ass
We'll
whooping.
see in a few Friday the 13th movies coming up soon. They tone down the fucking kills in that movie too, and it drives me nuts. But off-camera kills are the fucking worst.
We got to think probably at this time here, we got pretty much the 80s, what we call the 80s horror boom is thriving. There's got to be a lot of pushback from parents and just the MPAA trying to regulate this stuff, because the first movies in these franchises do like these incredible set pieces and unique kills, and then that kind of tampers off, and then it's not really revived again till we get into like was it splattercore? Is that what we established was like the modern terminology for it?
Yes.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And I would also connect the transformation scene where they were trying to pull off American Werewolf in London, like that same transformation scene. Obviously not as well as that film, but they got pretty damn close.
Yeah, I thought they did well, because I mean, it's not the centerpiece of this movie like it is for that movie, but my expectations going into it was like, oh, this is going to be a cheap sequel that they're not really going to put cool effects or anything into it. They're just going to use the character and kind of just drive it into the ground, not try anything new, but I thought it was pretty fun, actually.
So up until this point, how do we feel about Freddy?
I really dig his voice in this one for some reason. I think they like push it down. It's like the lowest I feel like his voice ever comes across. It's like demonic in a way. Kind of reminds me of like the demon from The Exorcist or something. I really liked it. It was my favorite part of the performance.
Dude, I fucking hate this version of Freddy.
Oh,
His appearance?
All he does is... No, the appearance is great. That's the best part of it. All he does is fucking laugh. This entire movie up to this
he
point.
does laugh a lot.
All he does is fucking laugh.
I mean, this guy probably didn't know how to, like you said, if he didn't love the first one, he probably didn't know how to write this character's dialogue, because he has a unique way of speaking.
Any justice. And I'm not even saying lean into the comedy aspect of it. I'm just saying, like, you've got this character who's established as like super evil, and all he does is fucking laugh like the entire time.
Well, again, they could have been leaning more into like what else was big at the time was the big silent killers, you know. Like for Jason and Michael don't need to talk, so does Freddy really need to? No, he just needs to be menacing, evil, and
but
torture
you
a
want
bunch
to
of
differentiate
kids.
yourself from the rest of the same old bullshit.
Well, they're just trying to make money on this movie. That was the whole initiative, right? They're trying to save the production company at this point.
I mean, you already have like a unique idea for the movie. Just, let the character lean into it.
I like how at the pool party, hot dogs catch on fire and beer cans explode.
She gets wild. Returning to Lisa's house, Jesse tells her what is going on. Lisa realizes that Jesse's terror is what gives Freddy his strength. He can't control his fear, and Fred makes his way into physical form yet again. Freddy attacks Lisa, but realizes he can't harm her due to Jesse's influence, and jumps outside to fucking party. And as we breach the glass doorways, the movie kind of takes Freddy into a new territory we've never seen him in before.
What is happening in this scene? All the rules are broken.
I think this is what West pointed to as being the worst part of the script.
It just makes no sense. From any aspect, it makes zero sense.
The teens outside try to talk Freddy down as he taunts and kills them, but he ain't having it. Lisa's father emerges with a shotgun, but Lisa stops him from shooting Freddy, long enough for him to escape in a ball of flame. And this is what Wes Craven pretty much said took him out of the idea of the script, was when you get Freddy, who is Robert Englund's not a humongous guy, and you got him in here with a bunch of 20-year-old actors who are like bigger than him. It kind of changes your perspective of his menace, what makes him scary,
There was one shot where he was running after, like, I don't know, probably 10 high school kids. And he looked so much smaller than they were. And it's just like, what are we doing?
I know, like, at one point he was, like, running by and just, like, slashing people. It reminded me of, like, I don't know, like a first-person shooter or something, It just looks super fucking weird. Because you're used to, like, Freddy, torturing somebody, engaging them, making it like painful and personal, but no, he was just like casually running by, just slashing motherfuckers left and right.
Got him.
Yeah, the pool scene, did not like it. Just right there in line with you guys. It goes against everything Freddy. And it just feels out of place. But then again, I guess it does fall in line with how the rest of the movie feels and fits into the franchise. Although I do love the "You're all my children now" line and the delivery.
So I'm saying his voice is really
it
cool.
Goes from him being really shitty doing all the laughing bullshit, but they don't give him anything to work with, to him being pretty much at his best with the way Robert Englund delivers, as Freddy delivers that line.
And that was a Robert Englund improv line.
That was great. It's fantastic. But then that's right. It's fucking bookend by a bunch of stupid shit.
And a fireball exit.
The effect of him going into the fireball looked good. It was pretty seamless the way they shot it.
It looked good. Sure. That's the whole thing about this scene. The scene is like kind of cool. It's kind of cool, but you're also sacrificing the fucking integrity of your movie by taking what's been established as the character and his mythos and just pissing on it. Like, you ask a lot of people what they don't like about this movie, this scene is one of the things that pops up.
And everybody seems pretty okay with seeing Freddy Krueger walking around. Like, the dad's got a shotgun.
Well, I got a theory behind that.
It gets really casual there for a minute when they're like looking at him and talking to him like he's, I don't know, like he's a fucking wild animal that just strayed onto the property.
Now, do these teenagers, high schoolers or whatever, see him as Freddy, or is he being seen as Jesse?
See Jesse.
I know we see it as the audience because they're acting really fucking calm and collect for this goddamn burn victim, like a goddamn witch, walking around dressed like Drop Dead Fred with fingers made of knives, slashing up people. They're acting really fucking Joe Cool about this guy.
When you put that layer on it, when you augment it with that reality, that makes it. It just makes it better, man. You're just increasing the status of this movie.
Oh, my God.
Just letting you know.
Well, that's not what's happening. But I got the same thing with Joy's talking about, where everybody's so casual. The dad's pointing a shotgun, but it's like in a get off my property way, not in like you're a fucking demonic hell demon way.
Right.
It's so weird, too, because Lisa literally stabs him in the chest with a fucking knife, and it doesn't do anything. But she doesn't want him to get shot with a shotgun.
Yeah.
Like, she literally runs outside and just, like, picks the shit. I don't know what the dad was doing. I don't know how he misses with a shotgun from fucking 10 feet away.
Lisa drives to the factory and gets scared shitless by some spooky dream magic.
Oh, my God.
Eventually, she ends up pleading for Jesse to fight Freddy. But his hold is too strong. Only when Lisa confesses her love for Jesse and kisses Freddy does he begin to fight back. Freddy combusts, turns to ash, leaving a distraught Lisa to watch. But after he dies, Jesse emerges from under the ashes, and the two reunite.
Fucking dog shit ending. Super anticlimactic. Terrible. Kisses Freddy and kills him. That's the power of love.
Oh, Huey Lewis again. Yes. Don't need no credit card to ride this train.
That's an awful way to kill Freddy. It's terrible.
So, let's back up. Fellas. Let's go to the very beginning of her getting to this refinery.
Talk about the fucking dogs.
She sees a dog with a baby mask on.
Fucking body snatcher's dog. You remember that one?
And,
yeah,
that's
I'm going to
pretty
talk
much
about
what
that in
it
the
is.
review, actually.
And then a massive rubbery rat. The special effects guy who made these two beasts was also the special effects guy on Aliens, and said
James
that he
Aliens.
Yes, said that he devoted all of his time to Aliens, and this was like an extra credit project for him.
Oh yeah, this right here was definitely fucking a fucking Elmer. This was an Elmer Glue job.
Yeah, that's pretty much what the guy said. He said, "I was doing Aliens. What do you want me to do?"
Hey, I don't blame him, because that shit was terrible. Like, those dogs look fucking awful. Once again, goes against the whole goddamn mythos of him somehow being able to summon demon dogs from another dimension in the real world.
They didn't even react to her or anything,
That
right?
makes sense.
Like,
No, they barked at her.
Well, the mouse didn't move. So I'm like, how much damage can they do, Chris?
I was like, what the fuck is the point of this?
It was terrible.
I guess it's supposed to be symbolism of her going into hell, I guess, But again, super confusing. I really didn't care for the effects here, but I feel like the story itself up to this point was, I don't know, like you were saying with Jesse being the stand-in for Freddy here, all this other shit. We don't know who's dreaming or when or kind of what the rules are anymore. So everything is kind of explainable by being unexplainable, if that makes sense.
It doesn't.
It doesn't, yeah, true. It's all a fucking dream, man.
She kisses Freddy on the lips, which is just a really weird scene.
I like that. That was unique. I was like, I've never even considered a character should do this before.
Yeah.
Meryl Streep over here tongue fucking Robert Englund.
You lucky man, Robert.
And then Freddy just burns alive again for the second time.
He's a phoenix reborn from the ashes.
He literally said Jesse's dead like 6 times in this. Like,
He
this
lied.
little sequence right here. Why I'm telling him that, it's like you can't give him anything else to fucking say.
He did say that over and over.
This is a terrible portrayal. Not Robert Englund's fault at all, but this is like a terrible fucking Freddy Krueger movie.
So she's only what appears on screen to be like 10 feet away from Freddy Krueger. And Freddy is covered in flames. I mean, head to toe flames. And she's just sitting over by him casually watching him burn. Not affected, not burned at all.
Oh, yeah, and the lighting in this scene was fucking terrible because you could see the goddamn jelly like sprinkled all over everything that was lit on fire. Like, just make it a little bit darker and you can't see it.
It's tough.
It was terrible.
Later, as Jesse, Lisa, and Carrie are taking the bus from school, Jesse begins to notice similarities to his original nightmare and panics. After Lisa finally calms him down, Carrie says it's all over before Freddy's clawed arm suddenly bursts through her stomach. Freddy's laughter is heard as the bus goes driving out into the field, as in the first nightmare.
You know that was some Robert Shea bullshit.
Let's just keep this
Can't
shit
kill
rolling.
him. You can't kill him. You can never kill him.
Never.
Just like fucking what was the other character? Michael Myers eventually got to what's his name? Mustafa Khan.
Yeah. Mustafa
Yeah.
Khan.
One of his whole things, his whole sticker points, you can never kill Michael. Like the movie can never kill like in that way. Like you can never like definitively kill him. I'm not even a big fan of Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I like the third one, and that's like it. And this is like, it feels like an injustice is done to the character.
I'm obviously a huge fan of these films, and this is by far the worst one.
Really?
I always thought
By
5
far.
was.
I will
pretty
watch
bad,
Freddy's
isn't it?
Dead 10 times to this one.
Well, that kind of interests me now.
I'm gonna love the one that's got that fucking In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida song, just because we watched it so much.
I guess Freddy's Dead.
But yeah,
Oh, I
so
love that.
with it kind of ties back around the dream at the beginning is getting repeated. And I guess it kind of begs the question of the stakes of everything we just sat through. What happened? What was the point? What was real? What was not? But it did it in a way that just was not quite as clever as the first, obviously. But that wraps up our boy Freddy for at least another 12 months. Merry Christmas, Fred. Obviously, you're still
Next
kicking.
year. Next year, Joey, we can do the Dream Warriors.
Next year, we
Oh,
all
right.
get our shoulder pads. We fucking Dream Warriors. All right, boys, what piece of memorabilia you taking home from Freddy's Revenge?
I got a feeling we're all three going to pick the same thing.
No.
Quick
not
question,
at all.
though, before we get past this title. Who the fuck did he get revenge on?
Oh, the kids.
The town?
Yeah. The kids?
Damn, the kids.
These kids didn't even know about it. They had to read about it in a fucking journal.
He's still pissed off.
Anyhow. All right, memorabilia. What do you got?
I've been watching travel videos on YouTube a lot here recently, where people retrofit old buses into like campers and shit and travel across the country. With the amount of wear and tear the hell bus can handle throughout this movie and keep on chugging, give me that bastard. Professor Joey is coming to a town near you and we're riding in style.
Tank style.
I didn't even think about that, but that thing did go through a damn beating.
Dude, that thing, you see that fucking first sequence? Dude, that thing's going off cliffs and shit.
No
Everybody,
seat belts or anything, man. It's
the
fucking
suspension on that truck is like, or that fucking hell bus is top notch.
badass. Titanium.
Probably adamantium.
That's a very good pick. I went with Nancy Thompson's diary just because I want to read the damn thing.
That would be pretty
You
fucking
want to read more about Johnny Depp's fucking cock or something?
100%. I feel like they skipped over, before Johnny died. There was more there that
all
Nancy
the
talked
smooth
about.
cock stuff. Yeah, it was definitely in there. We missed it.
I could see his smooth length through the windows,
Here
and
we
I
go.
could
Yes.
every
Talk
night.
about a page turner.
Well, I thought about going generic here because, as you go through these classics series, these franchises, you kind of just want to collect the outfit of the character over time. So I'm going to use this entry to collect what I'm going to call the Fredora.
Oh, yeah.
Got to get the
I
hat at
thought
some
about
point.
that. The hat looks very
You
good
saw
in
that
this
on
film.
fucking
It's so
Reddit or
crisp.
some shit to come
I
up with
actually
that.
came up with that on
That was
my own
actually pretty
earlier
good.
today. So
That's
thank
some fucking Reddit shit, guaranteed.
you. On the tip of the fedora to you there.
Fedora.
Yeah, they kept calling him Fred Krueger at this whole movie too.
That's all they called him in the first one too.
I know they did. It made me that much madder.
And that's when it's hard to differentiate, but you gotta judge this for its own merits. It does not know what's to come after
I think
this.
Freddy comes in the next one.
Dream Warriors.
Dream Warriors.
All right, let's put this baby boy to bed. Get out your grade books and start your markings. Mr. Joseph, what did you think?
Watching Freddy's Revenge for the first time in years, about a week ago, I hated it. It felt like a D for sure, but upon rewatching it earlier today to finish up my notes, it does have some redeeming qualities as the black sheep of the franchise. Love Freddy's appearance in the movie, much more menacing with the red eyes and witch-like nose. Shout out to Kevin Yeager, who recreated the look for Nightmare 2. With that said, I did not like his actual character in this movie. I thought it was terrible. Good practical and special effects, in particular the bus scene opening and the transformation scene. Except for the dogs towards the end, as we hearkened on, they look like shit, and they just serve as reminders of how badly they butchered the rules of the Nightmare universe. Invasion of the Body Snatchers did it way better 7 years earlier with their pod puppy. Mark Patton was good in his role as a male scream queen, although I fucking hate his actual screams. What really bugs me is it doesn't adhere to the rules set forth by creator Wes Craven. I understand you're trying to do something different, something unique, but to betray the character and its mythos just for the sake of putting a cool scene in the movie, and I'm talking about the whack-ass pool scene in particular, it's bullshit, it's sacrilege. The risky business scene is just as dumb. That's the dance scene. As well as the birds homage with that murderous parakeet. There's just too much goofy shit going on to take the movie seriously, and it undercuts what they were going for. Also, the gay subtext was a non-factor for me. I didn't really care about it, but it's there. So if that's going to offend you, this might not be the movie for you. In the end, Nightmare 2 grades out at a dull C for me. Much more appreciated as a movie independent of the franchise it derives its name and antagonist from. Basically, it's a D Nightmare movie and a C horror movie, if that makes any sense. It's not required viewing for Freddy fanatics or Nightmare fans by any means, but is an interesting, albeit misguided take on the child murderer himself. The way I see it, even if you or I don't enjoy the movie at all, if it had failed, we wouldn't have gotten to Dream Warriors. And just for that, I'm thankful for Nightmare 2 in all its gay glory.
I will say the trailer for this was not exciting, and having solid exposure to most of this series, I was not looking forward to sitting through this one. Adding in the fact that it was made and released just a year after the original, it screams 80s cash grab. That being said, I kind of ended up digging this. I don't know if I was just in the perfect mood when I popped it on, but I genuinely just had a hell of a time. Having watched the sequels from the other two big horror franchises in the past year, Jason and Michael, this one did something that those two did not. It did not try to recreate and build on the original. That alone gives it an edge for me, not to mention the fact that I was into the effects, and this is the first time I felt Freddy just actually being an evil motherfucker. The Nightmare on Elm Street series is not a conventional slasher series, so making this entry into one was kind of fascinating to me. I give this bad boy a B-.
Whoa.
I like this, man. It was fun.
Okay. Well, it leaves me then.
That makes me excited for the rest. If this is the worst, then shit, this might be my favorite franchise now.
A little shocked after that. I will start my review off with a little factoid that Robert Englund has stated that Freddy's Revenge is his least favorite Nightmare on Elm Street film. So the man himself also hates this film.
He said least favorite. He didn't say he hated it.
Well,
Is this before that fucking Jackie Earl Haley bullshit?
well, he's not attached to that. That's not even in the.
He isn't attached, but he's kind of attached because
He's
he is
kinda
fucking
attached.
Freddy. I mean, shit. You know?
He kind of has to have an opinion on it, whether he wants to.
Yeah,
or not.
Doug Bradley's got an opinion about the other fucking Hellraiser movies, guaranteed.
A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, from my memory, was a different film from an enjoyability perspective. The film was off the rails from the very beginning, with Robert Englund driving the bus at the very beginning and then switching into Freddy. I understand that no one might have known who Robert Englund was at the time, so maybe that's how he gets a little bit of an asterisk there. But anyways, Freddy never played by the rules that Wes Craven laid out. And we all know that I'm a big Wes Craven fan, and to fuck with Wes Craven's rules really pissed me off.
There are certain
And without those rules, I felt like the character of Freddy and the movie in general lacked tremendously. So with that, I give Freddy's Revenge exactly what it's asking for, a big old D.
All right, we did take a stab at the audience score here, even though it did not matter. From Rotten Tomatoes, we'll go in. Let's go with descending order, starting with resident Freddy Krueger himself, Ryan Hootie, who estimated a 52%. Myself went with 40. Joey went with a solid 35. The actual audience score, we all went over, believe it shit or not, was a 33% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Smoking them, baby. Got another one. Another one in the
After
bag.
the rewatch, 100% granted.
Yeah, so Joey was on the mark, but fortunately for all of us, he won no prize at all.
I picked the best movies.
This didn't count, so...
Thanks, Skeleton 3, really?
That was a good movie.
But yeah, so if you remember correctly, I actually had to guess for Thanksgiving. So I am in the driver's seat, but
I forgot
yet
about that.
again, we have a mandatory assignment coming up next. As we are going to be offline for a couple of weeks, when we do come back, we'll actually be sitting on a Friday the 13th in January of 2023. So we're stepping it up to part 3.
We finally get the hockey mask.
Friday the 14th.
Friday the 14th,
Oh,
baby.
hello.
I'm ready for this one.
Somebody's got a
We
bit of the
get-
diarrhea.
Smells like fucking boiled onions in here. Must be a fucking Jason Voorhees movie.
We got to get Jordan Downey to direct that bad boy. Let me correct myself. Friday the 13th, part 3, hosted by the lovely Mr. Ryan Hootie, will be coming your way.
Oh no.
Will be coming your way in early January 20.
You don't have the proper respect for Friday the 13th to do it.
I
justice.
definitely do not.
You better not gloss over this fucking movie. Me and you gonna have at it. We're gonna have
Have
words.
at it. I'll be Freddy, you be Jason. How about that?
All right, folks, hop on YouTube to check out the official trailer for Friday the 13th, part 3. If you want to play along, I would do so now. Scream Factory representing.
Right in the trailer. All right. Really leaning into it.
Well, I wonder what that is.
Weekends are a good time to escape to the woods.
Scott's voice.
Unless
More
the
vans.
weekend begins with Friday the 13th. Because 13 is an unlucky number.
This guy's got
But
the
out
voice,
here.
man.
So
Jesus, look at that fucking bridge.
Wow, Luso's playing.
There he is with the. He's gonna be so good.
are Jason's woods,
Yes.
and nobody leaves them.
There's a black guy. I was wondering if you've seen a black guy hitting these movies.
Friday the 13th.
3D, baby.
Bitch.
In 3D.
Which one of us is watching it in
Oh,
3D?
I'm watching it in 3D.
Oh,
You
shit.
can't fight him.
Get him. They got him a
Damn,
shit.
what's this motherfucker doing dressed like a hockey player? Damn,
Whether
bro.
run from his ass or slap a puck.
I
at him.
can't believe this motherfucker over here with a damn hockey
And
mask.
now, they can't even keep
This
him
Cheech
on
and
the
Chong
screen.
dude about to get the brand.
He's gonna poke his ass.
This motherfucker just
Friday
said
the
you can't
13th,
keep him
part
on the
3
screen.
In 3D. Now, when it comes to
Oh no,
killing
please
Jason's
don't do it to
woods,
him.
Jason will
Oh,
come.
fuck,
What is
snipe him.
this?
Jason will
What is
come
this?
to you.
That's a one-armed snipe.
The 13th part 3 in
That was
3D.
bad. Okay.
A new dimension.
The new
Damn!
dimension.
This dude is about some archery.
There it is. You gotta count him up.
God.
Count the kills, baby.
Kill count.
Count
Didn't
on
it count like 35 kills or some
This
shit in the
motherfucker
last
said
one?
count on it.
This is what makes the Friday the 13th movies the best fucking, like, horror slasher type movies.
They know what they're about, man.
It's all about the kill, baby.
It's a join Jason in the woods.
I don't need anybody who's gay out here trying to run from their feelings. I just need somebody with a fucking machete chopping someone's dick off.
Is there any other film that has that many threes in the title? Friday the 13th, Part 3 in 3D.
3D, baby.
Yeah. And he told us 3 times in the trailer what the name of the fucking movie was.
That shit was so good. That was gonna be good.
So yeah, boys, that's the trailer. What do you think the audience would give old Friday the 13th Part?
Oh, they hate this shit. It's probably like a 45. It's probably low.
What do you think, Hoots?
Gotta go 28.
God damn. He said they really fucking hate it.
35, right there in the middle of you. All right, folks, thank you for listening. Check out the website, horriblefilmschool.com. Find us on all podcast platforms, as well as links to all the social outlets. Give us a follow, leave a review. Send us some snazzy dream catchers. I'm going to offer my support to women put in position to host a party with a boiling hot swimming pool. Focus on what you can control, like making some finger sandwiches that are on point.
As always, if you hear our voices, tell at least one person you know. Spread the love, spread the campaign. And I'm pretty excited that we just covered what is considered to be the gayest horror film of all time. And with that, I'm out.
Gay! Yeah, y'all ever seen Community? Yeah, thanks for all the likes, listens, downloads, all that good stuff. We appreciate you guys stopping by and checking out the podcast week in and week out. If you do that, if not, hey, you're really missing out on some quality content from Ya Boy. Yeah, be sure to join us in the next one. We're going to talk about 1982's Friday the 13th, Part 3. Get to see our boy Jason Voorhees back at it, doing what he does best. We're going to catch you guys after Christmas, so happy holidays, Merry Christmas, all that good stuff. Enjoy your time off. Class dismissed.